welcome to AWS On Air.
I told you, I'm excited about this.
We want to help you see the things that are new and launching.
We are throwing you into the deep end.
Day 10. Let's do it.
Good morning, good afternoon, potentially good evening if you're joining us from the UK. I know that we're on UK live on Twitch right now. Thank you so much for being here with us today. You're watching AWS On Air. My name is Fiona McCann. I am a solutions architect at AWS. I work in the public sector, specifically with nonprofit organizations, and I'm very lucky to also get to be a co-host for AWS On Air. I am typically here with another host. In fact, I have a host who's potentially going to be joining me, hopefully sometime soon. His name is Todd. If you know Todd, you know that he's a developer and he's always talking about his tech issues that he's working with and working through. So he is currently having one of those issues. He's having some internet problems. He'll be back with us. And it's a little bit on brand for our conversation today, because one of the launches that we're going to be talking about today is in addition to Amazon CloudWatch, which anyone here knows who's worked with AWS knows that CloudWatch helps us to find out issues within our cloud environments and learn how we can remediate them. Sounds like something that could potentially help Todd right now as he's having some issues. But we're looking forward to a really great show today. We're going to keep things fresh, invigorating, like a crispy, crunchy salad. And we are hoping that you are going to absolutely love this conversation as we bring in two different teams to talk through some launches that they have, as well as, of course, the one and only Jeff Barr, who will be joining us later on in the show today to talk about new announcements at AWS, as well as Repost Live to talk about some problems that customers like you have brought to AWS and asked for solutions for. I know we have some people who are tuning in from all over the world. I'm seeing comments that we've got people from Florida and from Kenya. Let me know where else you're watching from. I'm currently in Washington, D.C., hoping that we'll have some people from all over the world today, and majorly hoping that you will ask us some questions. So please tune in. I'm seeing that we have California here on the chime, and it looks like we also have Todd. Todd decided to join us. Todd,
Can you
so
hear me
glad
okay?
to see you.
I was just about to join this, and just as I was going, like, my computer blew up, and I'm like, oh no, right when we're joining. But this is a live show, and things like that happen, I guess.
It does. And Todd was actually saying right before the show started, he said, if I have any computer issues, don't be alarmed. And of course, right after that happens, he goes dark. And it looks like we have California, we have Boston. Keep telling us where you're tuning in from. I'm right now in Washington, D.C. Todd, you are in...
I'm in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Western PA.
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We've got Minnesota in the chat. Todd, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself before we bring in our first guests?
Sure. Hey, everybody. I'm Todd Fortier. I am a senior solutions architect here on something we call the AWS Solutions Library team. I help develop things for AWS that you can deploy into your account. It's pretty cool stuff. You can check it out, aws.amazon.com/solutions. But I'm very excited to be here. Today's a very special day, not only because it's Friday, but last night, my wife made cookies, like special cookies. And
what
these
kind
cookies,
of cookies?
dude, they have these. It's a secret recipe. I'm going to expose it on the internet right now. She puts
Please.
in vanilla instant pudding mix into the cookies,
Oh.
and they come out like super cakey and delicious.
Wow.
They're the best cookies in the world. So
That sounds really delicious.
I'm very excited to be alive today and live streaming. But Fiona,
nothing can bring you down, Todd. You can't even be brought down by your computer issues. As long as you have these delicious cookies from your wife, you're feeling good.
I almost just said, you know what? I'm not doing live streaming today. I'm just going to go eat some cookies and start my weekend.
I am such a cookie person. It sounds like someone in the chat says, if you're not browning your butter, you're doing cookies wrong. Completely agree. John at AWS says, this is my favorite show in the history of humanity. Wow. Shout out to you. Thank you so much for sharing that love with us. I am such a big cookie person that I'm going to a tomato themed dinner party tomorrow night, and everyone was asked to bring a tomato dish. And so I'm making cookies that are decorated to look like tomatoes. So I'm pretty excited about that.
I thought you were going to somehow turn this really healthy and like start talking about vegetables. I was like,
that's not happening.
So what we're talking today on the show, this is our live stream show. I'm sure you already went into that, Fiona, but we're going to be talking about CloudWatch. I'm really excited about this launch. Something I know as a longtime developer on AWS, I'm going to use this feature all the time. And
Definitely.
we're talking about Oracle, not the Matrix Oracle, but the Oracle database that you
The
all
tech
know
one.
and love. Yeah. So are we ready to get into it? Should we bring our first guest on?
I think we got to bring him on. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
I told you I'm excited about this.
I'm
Yay.
also excited about this. Hey, welcome to the show, Jared and Matt. Let's start with maybe some introductions. Who are you, and what would you say?
Why are you here?
Why
Who are you?
here on the talking to us on the internet?
Yeah, I can go first. My name's Jared. I'm a principal engineer in CloudWatch. I specialize in building logging and monitoring and AI ops solutions so that customers can help understand and reason about the behavior of their workloads at runtime.
Absolutely.
And hey, I'm Matt Tishner. I'm a product manager on the CloudWatch team. So what that means is I talk to our customers and bring the requirements to our engineers. So you could say I'm a people person.
Nice. I like that. So today we're talking about CloudWatch. I know this is an highly used foundational AWS service, certainly one that I use all the time. But folks who might be new to AWS, never heard of CloudWatch. Let's start there. What is CloudWatch? What's the point of it? How is it used? How old is it? What's its favorite vegetable?
Tell us every single thing about CloudWatch.
Okay, that's a lot of questions. I'll try and start with what is it. So CloudWatch is AWS's observability suite, essentially. So what does that mean? From
Means
a
we're
functionality
watching it.
perspective, it's logs, metrics, traces, APM, everything you might need as a customer to either monitor your application and make sure everything's running smoothly, or when something goes wrong, it's the tool set you use to go dive into it and try and determine, hey, why'd this break and what should I do about it?
Yeah,
absolutely. So it's
go ahead.
Go for it,
Fiona.
Todd.
Talking on the internet's weird. Fiona,
It's hard.
you go, please.
Well, I was just going to say, I like to think of AWS, the environment, as my own vegetable garden, and when my carrots aren't growing, CloudWatch helps me to figure out, is it the soil? Is it the sun? Is it the water? Let me get to the root of the issue and figure out how I can make my carrots grow.
I like the analogy. That works perfectly.
Great analogy. That was way better than what I was gonna say. I was gonna say, as a developer, somebody who's deployed a number of workloads on AWS, certainly a lot of Lambdas. I've spent so much of my life sitting in front of CloudWatch, waiting for a Lambda to execute and say, what the heck is going on with my code? I know it's something I did, but I'm not sure why. And so I use
It's
CloudWatch.
definitely my fault.
It's definitely so my carrots aren't growing because I don't know how to plant carrots. That's
Right.
what's going on. But
Your issue is you need a new gardener.
Today we're talking about kind of AI, how you're thinking about AI in CloudWatch. But so that's how I use it. But let's maybe talk about how our customers are using, or some of the problems you were seeing in CloudWatch that made you want to launch something like this.
Yeah, Jared, you want to talk a little about that?
Yeah. So one of the use cases for CloudWatch, like I use CloudWatch pretty much every day, for whether it's I'm investigating an issue or I'm just trying to understand like the behavior of a service. I'll use it while I'm operating services in production, and I also use it when I'm building and testing out new services, right? So I use it all of the time. But one of the things that customers tell us a lot is, they get paged into an incident, and maybe it's the middle of the night, maybe it's 2 a.m., you're climbing out of bed, you're logging on, you're foggy, and you've got to like first orient yourself to the situation. You've got to figure out, what is happening. You have to start looking for logs. Maybe I have a run book somewhere.
Right.
I'm bouncing between all of these different interfaces, trying to come up with the right queries to run. And you also have to kind of be an expert in a lot of different things at the same time. People are deploying changes that you don't know about. And so there's all of this stuff happening and all this data, and you've got to orient yourself at 2 a.m. and start figuring out like what the issue is and who broke your system. And so we wanted to make that whole process a lot easier and a lot less stressful for our customers.
That's nice. I don't like to be stressed out at 2 o'clock in the morning. So it sounds like
Yeah.
you're helping people out here.
That's usually when the bunnies come out and start eating my carrots. So that's probably what it is.
So
Okay,
what exactly is it that you created? So this is the problem that customers were having. They came to you, they said, we don't like being pinged in the middle of the night, having to sort through everything, know our environment really deeply, and figure out what the problem is. how did you address that, and how have you helped them solve that problem?
Okay, well, maybe we can just pull up screen share and take a look, and we'll just show you rather than tell
I
you.
love it. Let's do it.
Like that's what I come for, the screen share.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, so I've got my CloudWatch console up here. If you're not familiar with it, what we're looking at is a CloudWatch alarm. So as self-explanatory, you set these up. If something goes wrong, go into alarm and send you an email, send you a Slack, whatever the case may be. So let's go into Jared's analogy and say, okay, I'm running this little demo site. I'm running in this account. I got page, and it looks like my alarm's going off, and oh no, my API availability has dropped. That's not.
Oh no.
Yeah, exactly. What historically, I do all the things Jared just told us about. Like as an engineer, I need to understand this application and all these different resources. Look for the logs, look for the metrics, traces, perhaps maybe look for recent configuration changes. Maybe somebody screwed something up with IAM. All
Right.
things, right? It's a pretty big headache. So yeah, we're trying to make your life easier, Todd. Don't worry.
I turned this on after we talked the other day. I was like, okay, this is what I need.
Help is on the way.
Help is on the way.
All right. So what you can do now is what we've added in the alarm screen. We've got this new investigate button for an alarm. You can actually set it up to automatically run, which is what I've done here. And you can kick these off from all over the AWS console. If you're on your Lambda screen, Todd mentioned he's a big Lambda guy earlier. You can kick these off straight from the Lambda. So if you're looking at your particular Lambda, you can kick off one of these investigations from over there as well. All right. Okay, so what am I going to do? I'm in my brave new world of AI. So instead of like spending a bunch of time trying to dig up all this data, I'm just going to click on that AI investigation that I'm going to get kicked off, and let's see what the AI has to say. So what we've got here is as soon as this alarm went off, the AI basically started crunching and started doing those things I might have done manually under the hood. So when looked at my application, figured out what all was connected to that API endpoint, gathered up all the telemetry it could find, looked for recent configuration changes, and crunched through all that.
I mean, all the different services within AWS, it's like different vegetables sitting in your garden. And from the top, it can seem like they're separate, but in reality, they've got these roots that are under the soil, they're intermixing with each other. And when one of them has a problem, you might have previously needed to kind of dig in there yourself and see how things mix together. But you're saying that now this is diving into the soil for you and checking out these roots.
All right, yeah, if we're going to keep abusing the gardening analogy, I'll use my own. So one of the great things is, maybe I'm, I don't know, a root vegetable guy, and I know my Lambdas, my one type of technology well. One great thing about this is it goes and it knows how to deal with all your stuff, your compute, your database, your messaging bus, whatever it might be. So it can kind of help you analyze all these different technologies, which is another thing our kind of customers have told us, especially like junior developers. Applications can contain so many different services and technology types. Having some AI help with that analysis is really beneficial. Something that knows how to look at EKS logs and Lambda logs and whatever database logs and all the things.
Right. I think folks in the chat are starting to pick up on our gardening theme.
No idea what we're talking about. I just really love vegetables.
Well, we weren't exactly subtle, but
so Matt, I just want to make sure that I'm following along here. So we've developed something and we've deployed it on AWS, and things inevitably. What's the quote, Fiona? What things go wrong?
Everything fails all the time, perhaps.
There it is.
If it can go wrong, it will go wrong.
There we go. We've all experienced that in our career at some point. So something has gone wrong, and now we've defined this alarm. It's entered into an alarm state. I'm getting notified, hey, something's happening in your account, and I'm trying to orient and figure out what. But what did I have to do before that's kind of what Jared was talking about. I'd have to go look at the log, gather all of this different information, go to this service, go to that service, try to pinpoint precisely what is happening and causing this alarm state. But what you're saying, Matt, is now we have this automated, this agent that kind of goes out and does that work for us.
Yeah, Todd, exactly. So the idea would be like, if you're a developer, now when you're investing in this alarm, first of all, once you roll out of bed, you've already got something to look at. The AI has already been crunching away. And for example, you can we generate what's called what we're calling a hypothesis. So this is kind of our best guess as to what happened here. So in this particular case, it looks like we're able to determine someone changed IAM policy and put a deny statement that's now causing access issues from my application into this particular DynamoDB table.
Classic.
So if I want to dig into it, I can kind of come over here and see the reasoning. So maybe I don't trust whatever CloudWatch's AI is saying here. So I can go look at the data that was actually used to inform this hypothesis. And for example, it looks like we found some recent error messages in our logs that weren't occurring before. And we even looked at CloudTrail to determine and point you at the specific change event. Oh, well, looks like some login issue.
We're live.
It's always how it goes.
But
you're lucky you got us as hosts, because the other host will make you do a demo dance. It's kind of like a running thing on the show. I'm not going to make you dance, but if you want to maybe do that and appease the demo gods, we
all right,
have
I'll hit you with the jazz.
A little jazz hands.
Demo jazz hands. I like it.
All right. So yeah, so you get all the supporting data you need to actually understand why we came to this recommendation. So a lot of customers have been really using this to help accelerate their investigations. They're still doing, perhaps what they would have done once those alarm fired before, but now they've got this extra tool in the tool belt, and some that's sometimes just getting them right to the right answer, and they don't even
accelerate.
Yeah. Oh, wow, that was a new level of corn.
Well, I would imagine that it's sometimes, not only helping, find answers that someone would previously look into and find themselves, but I would also imagine that sometimes there's kind of connections between two different services, two different things that have changed that to the human eye, it might not be immediately noticeable. It might not immediately be the answer. And I'm assuming that what you've built here can kind of make those correlations that a person might not have easily been able to.
Yeah, like in this specific example that Matt's showing, right? Like there was probably a pipeline, there was a change that was deployed that put this resource policy in place, and or maybe it was someone who just like went and manually changed it for whatever reason. In order for me as an operator to go figure out that happened, I have to go like check my pipeline, I have to go look through all of the code diffs, I have to go like ping my team, and I'm limited, and I'm also like, I don't know what's going on, so I'm querying logs, I'm querying metrics. But as like a single person, I'm limited by, like a single log reasoning thread. But with this, you're actually benefiting from a lot of automation and parallelism, so that when that alarm fires, we're just off and we're finding all of that evidence and reasoning about it and getting you to those kind of like sense of what's wrong much faster than you could do by yourself.
Yeah,
Jared, I love this. This just seems like the perfect application for like generative AI, right? We have all of this really complex data. We have all of this different data sources and information, and like stitching it together, making it make sense, putting it in like natural language so I can like comprehend it and understand it, and really make my job easier. And that's the promise of this stuff, right? And so I can see that directly applied in this feature. I'm kind of curious a little bit. Well, before I get into my question, Fiona, I cut you off again.
No, you're totally good. I just wanted to call out the chat because I see someone say it's so true. I also get confused because there's so many carrots that I live in carrot land when I go to CloudWatch. And I think that this person's really making a great point about scalability. Like you as an individual can only take care of so many carrots in your garden. And this really helps you so that, as your services are growing, as you're having more and more resources in your environment, you as the one individual don't need to be going manually and looking through everything. This is helping you find these problems as your environment's upscaling.
I really do love this garden analogy because my wife and I run a homestead here. We have about 6 or 8 beds, and it's a daily observability. I mean, observability is a massive part of our gardening effort. We look for what are the early signs of problems? What are the problems? What are the hypotheses of resolving those problems? Right now, I've got a chicken problem. It keeps digging up my new plants, and I'm like, okay, what can I start to do about that? So I think it's a really good one.
Absolutely.
Not to continue to abuse it.
We've got Jeff Barr in the background saying that this analogy is also growing on him. We have a couple more people who mentioned in the chat. One person says hypothesis and what's the premise here. So we'll give you a bit more background in just a second. But I do also just want to acknowledge that there's another question that says they may have totally overlooked this in AWS, but is this investigation option available by default, or is it an extra feature to enable? So answering the first question first, what's going on? We're talking observability. we're talking Amazon CloudWatch. So looking at your Amazon environment and your AWS environment and figuring out when something goes wrong, what's going wrong, and how we can solve it. And there's a brand new AI-enabled feature that has helped developers to do just that. And as for the second question, is it available by default? Is there any additional feature to enable? I think that's a pretty great question that I'm going to toss at you, Jared.
That seems like burying the lead here. How do we turn this on?
So you do turn it on. You do it by creating a resource that we call an investigation group. And then you can just think of an investigation group as a container for your investigations. But the key thing is that, and Matt's showing it on screen right now, is that you configure an IAM role, and that role determines the permissions that the agent has when it's exploring your environment. And we offer very easy getting started options, so you can just like click a few buttons and be off and running. And we also have fine-grained access controls for customers who are, they're not just kicking the tires, they're ready to deploy this in production, and they want to be able to establish the security controls that they care about.
Amazing. So you're saying that it's easily configurable. It's just a button to enable it. By default, you're giving it access to your whole environment, but that's something that you can fix yourself, or
you have a choice. When you go and create that investigation group, you can choose to give it read-only access, or you can choose to scope it down. So if you're kicking the tires, usually what I do is I just go through the default settings, click go, and I'm off.
Follow the big orange button is what I tell.
I love the big orange button.
It's getting easier.
Yeah, and I'll add a couple more things to Jared's explanation of the configuration. Yeah, so one, he mentioned read-only. It's not going to do any write operations for you, but for some of the hypotheses, we will actually recommend SSM runbook. So something like, for example, I've seen, this DynamoDB table is under provision. Here, click this runbook, and you can go like up the provisioning. Two, we're in about 14 of the most common commercial regions right now. So it's not in every single region, but it's probably in the one you're using. And
Pop
then
quiz chat, how many regions are there?
I don't know. I don't know if
I was going to say, I don't want to answer that. I don't want to participate. And then one more point. This is available at no additional cost. So it works on all your CloudWatch data. You can go kick the tires on it, try it out, and not have to worry about getting slapped on AWS.
That's huge. I mean, not to get too like salesy, but like let's talk about value. Like that is huge value.
I don't want to be that guy, but
not to be that guy.
Yeah, that's not the point of the show. The point of this show is to talk to experts. So we want to hear the questions. So if you got more questions, I have one. Let's prime this. I kind of want to understand a little bit. It seems really complicated. There are so many services at AWS. There are so many different things that could happen in any one of those services. These are kind of the Lego blocks of building. Jared, maybe you can walk us through, like, how did you go about like tackling such a massive problem and then making it concise and easy to read for big dum-dums like me?
Yeah, that's a great question. It was a lot of work, So we use an ensemble of machine learning methods, but one of the methods that we use is we do use generative AI and large language models.
Never heard of that.
Yeah,
I should have guessed.
You kind of talked about the complexity and diversity of the problems that we have to solve, and that's why those things are so attractive, is because like no single customer's environment is exactly like another customer. And so this makes it a lot easier for us to deal with these kinds of edge cases, and where we don't have to encode things and heuristics and rules for every single scenario. But yeah, and so we build up a model of your environment, and we use all of this machine learning technology that we've been working on to, whenever an alarm fires or you start an investigation, we trace it through your environment and collect evidence and build hypotheses, and then we present you with our best possible explanation of what we understand from the data that we have access to.
Absolutely. So we're coming to the end of this segment. I have one final thing that I love about this launch that I would love for you to talk very briefly about is you have links to the reasoning behind an answer that it provides. Can you tell us a little bit about how that can help build trust with the customer?
Yeah, the reason for me, at least, right? Like you could show me a block of text and just say like, this is the issue. But now, like, I'm not going to believe it ever. Like my first question is just going to be like, show me the data. And so that's the cool thing about the reasoning is you can actually see like your CloudWatch metrics, your logs.
Totally.
You have deep links to them. So if you want to ask another question, you can easily go from a log, run another query if you want to on that same data set. So that's for me, that's really valuable because it gives me a sense of like, did this thing hallucinate,
Totally.
or is there actually data that says that justifies what it's talking about?
Absolutely. I think that adds a lot of value. And Todd, I think that we just made it on a hero page. Where are we?
We are live. We are Hero in the UK, a place I've never been, but I'd like to.
Hello.
But Fiona, you just said you were going to go there. But so, hey, welcome our UK friends. And this is AWS On Air. We're a live stream show on Twitch and a bunch of other channels, and we talk about new launches at AWS and we get to talk to the experts who built them. And we've got Jared and Matt talking about CloudWatch, but we're just coming to the end of this segment. So, Jared, Matt, where can folks go to learn more, get more information about how this works, how to turn it on? Where do you want folks to land?
Yeah, just go to your CloudWatch page. You should see a new tab over on the left called AI Operations, and click that configuration or investigations button. Try it on, and you can try it on a historic thing. So if you had an alarm that happened last week, 2 weeks ago, try it on that and see how well we do.
Follow the big orange button.
Yeah.
The rabbit hole.
The rabbit hole, if you will. Well, thank you both so much for being here. We absolutely loved getting to hear about your launch. Congratulations on it going through, and hope to see you again on the show sometime soon.
Thank you, Fiona and Todd.
Yeah, thanks.
Bye. All right, Todd, I loved that segment. Tell me your thoughts.
Me too. I love it too, just because it is immediately clear to me how it's going to directly impact my workflow. Just today, I'm deploying Lambdas and looking at CloudWatch logs and trying to figure out why is this complex web of Lambdas not working the way that I need to. So not only do I have the context of this Lambda, I could potentially have the context of my other Lambdas to kind of see things and get these hypotheses that are contextually aware. I just of course I'm going to use this, and it's free.
It's an actual no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. You just get to turn this on. It's immediately going to look in your environment. You also don't even need to make any decisions in the current time or in the future to get started. If you want to just use it on previous data, the previous environmental context, you can use that, see how well it performs, and then make your own judgment call if it's something you want to keep using moving forward. And again, it's free.
Yeah, that's wild. And okay, so that's not all we have for today's show. But before we get into our next couple of segments, with our special guests,
I see a survey.
That's the thing. We always love to hear from our audience and just kind of see what we're doing well. Just vibe with us a little bit and say, you know what, Todd's too weird. The garden analogy is corny.
Not into it. Oh, corny.
I'm going to claim that I meant to do that.
Okay.
But no, we want to know those types of things. Or what do you want to see? I know you're working in services that we may not have covered yet, or you want us to cover in the future. So fill out the survey. The first 10 folks are going to get, with an AWS Builder ID, are going to get $20 in AWS credits. But we really value that feedback.
We absolutely do. And, we bring in launches that mean a lot to the viewers like you. We already have someone in the comments. Danuli says, almost had to boot up the work PC again on a Friday night, but they're holding their eager self to test it out on Monday. People are super excited about this. I'm excited about it. And we love bringing launches that really resonate with you all. So thanks for being here. And please do let us know your thoughts and what you want to see. And we just keep bringing more content. Todd, there's more to talk about. What are we bringing on next?
We're going to be talking about Oracle. Now, Oracle is not something that I'm super familiar with. I've never had to really use it, but so it's going to I'm going to do my best to keep up, but we've got another expert. Let's bring him on to the show.
Let's bring him on.
I told you I'm excited about this.
Fantastic. Joe, hello, welcome, and thank you for joining us at AWS On Air. We have an audience here who are very excited to hear from you. Would you mind introducing yourself and letting us know what it is that you're doing with us today?
Yeah, sure. Hi, Fiona. Hi, Todd. Thanks for having me. Hi, folks who are online. My name is Joe. I'm a senior database specialist, SA at AWS. My role is to help customers migrate Oracle database workloads from on-premises to AWS. I'm so excited to be here to talk about our new offering called Oracle Database at AWS, which is a partnership with OCI.
Very cool. And we got some folks saying, what is this show? Maybe our UK folks, we got more UK
Who
folks.
are you guys?
What are you doing? I thought this was like
Why are you on
thing.
my screen?
No, this is AWS On Air. We're a live stream show on Twitch and various other channels. We talk about the latest launches and newest things at AWS, and we meet with the folks who actually built them to kind of answer your questions, get a little bit deep on the tech, and kind of see how it fits together. So we want to hear your questions about, are you using Oracle? We're talking about Oracle now. Let's get into it a little bit.
Expert.
Joe. Yeah. Okay. So Oracle on AWS. Let's
Oracle. Yeah, Oracle database on AWS. It's not the Oracle from the Matrix movie, right?
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Not to be confused.
Not to be confused. Yes.
So maybe give us. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, tell us, why you built this. What were people doing before? How were people that, needed to use or wanted to use Oracle, but were also using AWS? How did they do both at the same time previously?
Right. So we had many customers running their Oracle database in AWS for a long time. I would say ever since we launched EC2 back in probably 2008, we had customers running self-managed database on EC2. Then we launched RDS for Oracle somewhere around 2011. And that naturally became the primary choice for customers to deploy Oracle database because of all the managed experience RDS provides. Then we launched RDS Custom for Oracle to meet some of the customization requirement for our customers' Oracle database applications. Now, what was missing or some of the pain points that customers were facing was migrating databases that had dependency on certain Oracle products and features. For example, Oracle engineered system called Exadata. Some customers use it for performance reasons. And also Oracle Real Application Cluster for high availability. And migrating those workloads to existing AWS services were not an easy job always. So we talked to our customers. Customer wanted something which will make a very easy and quick way of migrating these workloads to AWS. So we partnered with OCI to bring up to bring up this new offering called Oracle Database at AWS. And we're so excited about it because we just made G announcement of the offering earlier this week on Tuesday.
Yay! Congratulations to you and your team. That's so exciting. I would love it to hear a little bit more about this. So you're saying that there are Oracle features that people were using on Oracle. It was hard to kind of migrate them to AWS. What was making that challenging before?
Right. So these features we are talking about are dependent on proprietary Oracle hardware and Oracle software components, which are hard to be reproduced in AWS without having the same Oracle infrastructure deployed in AWS data centers. So that's exactly what we did. So with this joint partnership with OCI, we are able to offer Exadata infrastructure inside AWS data centers. So customers who are running Exadata in on-premises, they continue to get the same performance benefit, all the features of Real Application Cluster, which comes integrated with this service. And we are offering 2 OCI database services, part of this offering called Exadata Database Service, Autonomous Database Service, the second one. Both will be available to our customers based on dedicated infrastructure for them. It's not going to be a shared tenancy.
Okay, Exadata. That sounds like such a cool name. I want to kind of hear from the folks in the chat who might be a little like, help me out as a non-Oracle person. Are you using Oracle? What are you using these features? What about these features might you want to know more about? But Joe, so Exadata on AWS, do you have, maybe we can pull up an Exa demo?
Yeah, I can pull up a demo. Yeah, Exa demo. Yeah, we can do
let's
that.
pull up your screen and let's see what this looks like. I'm a visual guy. I need to see what we're talking about. Yeah.
Right. So before we go to the console, I just want to show an architecture diagram to set the stage. So this is how the deployment model for Oracle database at AWS. So you can see, I'm looking at my screen on my right on second display. So on the right side, you can see the OCI parent region. And on the left side, you can see the AWS region. So this is about Exadata infrastructure deployed inside AWS data center. So you can see in AWS region in a specific availability zone inside AWS data center, you can see those Exadata infrastructure, the two boxes. That's the proprietary engineered system you're talking about. Now, that's called OCA child site. And think of OCA child site as an extension to OCA region inside AWS data centers. And it is connected to the OCA parent region for all the automation, all the control plane operations, and things like that. And what we did was on the AWS side, we introduced a new networking construct called ODB network, the red box that you see. And that's going to host all the networking components of Exadata. And that also allows us to expose connectivity to the database from our AWS ecosystem. For example, there is an application running on VPC on EC2 that can easily connect to the database by peering the ODB network with their VPC. That's called ODB peering. Right? So that's like a high-level diagram showing the deployment architecture. I haven't shown all the components involved to make it very simple, but we can look at the console to see how the console experience looks like.
Yeah, let's do it.
I think you might have to do it in crayon for me, like make it even more simple. But I think I understand a little bit about what you're saying, Joe. You're saying that there were these components that existed only in Oracle, and then we've helped build that infrastructure out within AWS, and then we solved the complex networking layer in order to make use of those Oracle components, and that's kind of what we're seeing here. But you're going to show us a little bit more.
Correct, absolutely. So let's look at the console. So this offering is available to customer as a marketplace offering. This is not a native AWS service, but the console experience and AWS CLI experience, all those things are going to be exactly like a native service. So customers can see Oracle database at AWS just like any other AWS service, right? So they can go there and they can see the dashboard enable once they accept the marketplace offer. And you can see all the components which we just saw in the architecture diagram. There is an ODB network, there is an infrastructure, the VM clusters and all those things, the peering of the ODB network, things like that. So I have to say end-to-end provisioning of the entire stack can take approximately 5 to 6 hours. And this is because we are building some heavy underlying components on the Oracle technology stack, much faster than days and weeks of effort that customers would have to do on the on-premise as well. But still, compared to, for example, RDS Oracle, which gets provisioned in like 20 minutes, this can take a couple of hours.
Yeah.
Right. So I can quickly show the console experience of provisioning each of these resources. Definitely, we don't have time to provision all of this. The most important one is the ODB network.
Perfect.
ODB network is very similar to a virtual private cloud VPC of AWS, but this is a unique networking construct that we introduced just to host Oracle database components. It cannot host any other resources like VPC can host EC2 instances. This is only for purely Oracle database related resources. You just choose availability zone where the Exadata infrastructure is available. You enter the CLI range for your client subnet and backup subnet. This is the most interesting part. We have some configurations which allows integrations with our native AWS services. There are built-in integration. Customer doesn't have to do anything to enable, but these two integrations, backup to Amazon S3, as well as zero ETL integrations with Redshift, is something customer can choose to enable based on their requirement.
I love this. So this is a real benefit to doing this Oracle database at AWS. Is these are things that, previously there's value in using AWS and Oracle together, and, having that connection might have previously been difficult. And what you've done here is these are pre-configured service integrations. Customers don't need to do anything now to enable or to make that access to S3 happen, make that zero ETL process happen. All they have to do is click that button and you've given them access to it.
Yeah, so many customers run their transactional systems in Oracle database and on-premises, and they don't have access to the AWS services easily. So by having this new offering, they can easily migrate those database to ODB, Oracle database at AWS. And not only that, with EC integration capabilities, they can unify the data across Oracle and AWS so that they can do real-time analytics integration with generative AI services like Bedrock. All the integrations are possible. And we heard from our customers that they also want to back up their database inside AWS and keep the backup in AWS without leaving or without going to the OCI network. And this is because compliance reasons, and that's why we introduced this new feature at the G announcement. We support S3 backup with native integration.
Absolutely. We have someone in the chat. Victor says, hello, right back at you. And I'm seeing this as kind of that was a really good example of, or a good description of the value here. It's like people might already have their data sitting on Oracle and it's doing everything that they need it to be doing on Oracle, but there's additional things that AWS can help them do. Like you mentioned, Gen AI, if you want to use that data and build an application with it, now you've helped them create that connection to data that might have previously been more difficult.
Exactly. I can give a perfect example of that. So we talked to a financial company who is currently hosting their transactional database in Oracle Exadata. At the same time, their user interaction data is already in AWS. So they were not able to combine these data sources so easily. So what they can do now is that, host the database in Oracle database at AWS. So that becomes data available inside AWS data center. But not just that, with capabilities like zero ETL to Amazon Redshift, they can also combine this data with other data sources and easily build a real-time dashboard for fault detection. That's what one of the customers is planning to do.
That's very cool, Joe. It's kind of like the best of both worlds kind of coming together. You have this really advanced database system, and then you have AWS and all the features that it brings. So we are the AWS experts. We understand that these service industries, but Oracle might have their own set of expertise. Did we work with Oracle to help launch this? Help me understand the partnership a little bit.
Yeah. So probably you can understand that this is probably the first time we are deploying, or we are allowing a partner to deploy infrastructure inside our AWS data center.
So this is unprecedented launch. You've heard it here first on AWS On Air.
Right. So definitely it had to be done in a collaborative way. So engineers on both sides had to work together to make sure that deployment happens as per all the best security, best practices, not just on AWS side, but also on the OCI side, to make sure that we meet the capacity requirements, scalability requirement, and also we had to make it available across multiple AZs and multiple regions so that they can build cross AZ, HRDR combinations, and the integration and the collaboration just did not end on the engineering side. We also made sure that customers get a unified experience on purchasing, management, support experience. And also we wanted to make sure that customers get the favorite things on the OCI side and on AWS side. So the spend on this service is counted towards customers' commitment on AWS side, as well as Oracle support rewards on OCI side. And they also benefit from all the licensing benefits.
Yeah, it's very cool. So, Joe, we've got just a few minutes left. I want to make sure that you get to all of your demo. What else do you want folks to see before we say goodbye?
Right. So we wanted to show you how to create an Exadata infrastructure, which is another important piece, right? So creating the Exadata infrastructure is very simple. Customer needs to just choose what deployment model they want. There are different Exadata deployment models available, like X11. These are versions of Exadata hardware. So right now in this region, only X11, which is the very latest one available in OCI. But sometimes in some regions, the previous models also are available. They can choose an infrastructure configuration between number of DB servers between 2 to 32 and number of storage between 3 to 64. This is just an initial configuration. They can scale up and down anytime as they want. So that's about infrastructure configuration, right?
That's awesome. We have a comment in the chat. Someone says these AWS and AWS training streams are the best live streams on the net that they know of. What a compliment. Wow. Thank you for saying that. But we have another comment from Colleen MB who says, is this available all around the world, Joe?
Oh, great question. So we made GA early this week with 2 regions available as of today, in US East 1 and US West 2. At the same time, we pre-announced launch of this offering in 20 additional regions across the world. So that's going to happen very near future, right? So yeah, it's going to expand very quickly to other regions as well.
Absolutely. And chat, I asked a question. I gave you all a pop quiz in the last segment. I said, how many regions are there? We still don't have an answer. Come on, chat, pop quiz. How many regions are there? Let's see.
An exa amount.
Exa number of regions. All right. Well, Joe, as we come to the end of the segment, what do you want to leave our audience with? What do you want them to know? How can they get started using this for their own builds?
Yeah, it's a little tricky compared to how you get started with other AWS native service because there is an additional process involved in terms of talking to OCI counterpart to get a marketplace offer acceptance. So that's the first thing you have to do before you can get started with the provisioning process. But I think before that, it's learning about the service can be done by reading the documentation. It's comprehensive documentation available on both the AWS side and OCI side. So that's a good place to start with.
Yeah, read the docs. That's a big part of my mantra. I've got it tattooed. CRUD. I'm a former developer, so CRUD, create, read, update, delete, and read. That's an important one.
Very important.
That's my TED Talk for the day. See you later.
And he's out. Thank you so much, Todd. More
Yeah.
importantly, thank you so much, Joe. This was a fantastic segment. Congratulations on the launch of your service, and we hope to have you again on the show sometime soon.
Yeah, good
Thanks,
work, Joe.
Fiona. Thanks, Todd.
Lovely, lovely. Okay, we have a couple comments in the chat who've made guesses of how many regions there are. I'm seeing more than 5. I would venture to say you might be correct there, Danuli. And I'm also seeing.
I know that much.
Better question is how many regions do you use? That's actually a very good question. That's
use, not how many do you use? High availability. Let's go. Well architected.
Good point. And I'm seeing another guess for 33 regions worldwide. You know, Todd, I think that there's only one person that I would trust with the answer to this, and maybe we could bring on that wonderful expert to talk with us about some news and how many regions there are.
Yeah, I think we should definitely do it. Before we do that, I want to mention one thing. This is the last chance we will mention this on the channels. There is a real-time racetrack sweepstakes. I had to read that, make sure I got it right. Right now, you can design your own circuit and then enter for a chance to win tickets to a 2026 Formula One Grand Prix event, including travel and accommodation. They're gonna feed you. They're gonna get you there. And all you have to do is design your own track and submit. There's a link on the chat. I think they're going to drop it in the chat.
Drop that link.
This is the last time we're going to mention it on this channel is what I've been told. That's what. So
I hear it's the last day today to enter to win.
Oh, today's the last day?
Today's the last day.
I want to go to a Grand Prix event. I think I would be willing to bet the rules and conditions exclude Amazon employees, unfortunately.
I don't know. We got to look into it, Todd.
So if any of my family members are watching this, go and fill out the sweepstakes and let me know. But that's it. Okay, now I'm ready for our special guest.
Let's bring on the one, the only Jeff Barr.
The Eagle has landed.
Hello, Fiona. Hey, Todd.
Hello.
Howdy. Welcome back, Jeff. It's been a long time since I've seen you on the channel. Maybe just because I'm not hosting, but
I've been traveling a bunch, Todd. So what happened at last reInvent, I announced that after 20 years, I was wrapping up my time on the AWS News blog.
We ate some hot wings.
The entire AWS community said, oh, wow, Jeff now has some more time available. Why don't we invite him to an AWS Community Day? And so at reInvent, I very happily said, oh, sure, I'll go here and here and here. And they didn't tell me that a whole bunch of those were going to be in May and June. And so I had just an incredibly good time. I've been to Tokyo and Lima, Bangkok, Bangalore. I've been to Armenia. I've been to Milan. I've been to Prague.
Is there anywhere you haven't been?
There's actually a lot of countries I've not been to just yet, but that was just like the last 3 or 4 months. And so it's actually, I really love, of all the different kinds of events, of community days and meetups and reInvents and summits, I love the community days because it's built by our community members, and we help out a little bit with a little bit of logistics and a little bit of initial sponsorship, but the community members do all of this themselves just because they think it's so cool to be part of AWS, and they love it so much that they say let's hold an event to bring folks together and to listen, learn, and network and so forth. So it's just always, Mexico City. I was in Mexico City just like 3 weeks ago.
Nice. Well, it's very cool. If any of our guests are listening from any of those cities, let us know if you had a chance to meet Jeff. And Jeff, we certainly miss you around here when you're not here. I think we need to have like a new segment where when you're not on the show, we just have like a "Where in the World is Jeff Barr" kind of.
Oh, that's a good idea.
You know, we've had some folks kind of backfill the news segment, and it's just not the same without you. So we gotta
hit the same.
Oh no,
yeah, we gotta do a "Where in the World is Jeff Barr" and get.
So you're saying I'm not allowed to retire?
I think that's what we're saying, actually.
Oh, no.
Is that still a thing? People still retire? I don't know.
Oh man! As of Monday, I'm like an official senior citizen. I can get like blue plate specials, and like I can eat dinner at 4 o'clock and all kinds of stuff. So.
Nice.
It's now
Hey, Jeff,
socially
so Fiona threw out a pop quiz for our audience. They wanted and asked how many regions are there. We've got another guest. Project Trust AI says 37 regions. There are also 4 more regions announced. So this is getting, I mean, that is a detailed answer. But Jeff, do you have the official answer? Do you have that readily available?
So what I found is there's certain AWS numbers that are just not worth committing to memory because they change too quickly, and it can be misleading to quote the wrong one. And so I just did a quick search and came up with the exact same number as that the Project AI, Project Trust AI, Trustworthy
Yay!
AI.
Go Project Trust AI.
37 regions, 117 availability zones, over 700 CloudFront POPs, and then 43 local zones and 31 wavelength zones.
Did you say over 700 CloudFront POPs?
700 POPs and 13 regional edge caches. That's like serious.
And that's going to change next week.
It's 800 next week.
There's numbers that you just don't want to bother to commit to memory because like we don't broadcast cache invalidations, right?
Fair enough.
Right. It's better just to say, let me just look that up for you versus giving the wrong number. You know, what I found in my role is it's really hard to delete incorrect information once you've shared it at some event or with a journalist. And it's far better to say, I don't know, or here's where to find the information versus saying, well, I think it was this, because those I think ofs always end up being
wrong
so widely that you can never go back and fix them later.
Absolutely.
Sage advice from Jeff Barr. That's why I like having you on, Jeff. You always have some wisdom that you can share, but also some news.
I do. We've had a lot of cool stuff lately. So the first cool thing is the AWS Builder Center. And this is not a service, but I think it's super relevant to our audience. And what we've done is we're creating a new home for builders. And we have really, like a lot of stuff we launch, we have really big plans, but we say we've got to get a good base in there. And then there's a whole lot of, we can grow past that. So we're launching with access to builder resources, ways you can connect with and engage with the community. And one really cool feature is you can actually provide feedback and suggestions to product teams. So that's super neat. And we've taken some of our existing properties and kind of refactored some of them into the Builder Center, things like the previous AWS Developer Center and community.aws. Those are not part of this. There's awesome stuff like a connect page where you can find heroes and community builders and user groups and cloud clubs. There's the build page with a bunch of interactive learning resources, and then direct connections to Bedrock and PartyRock and Nova and AI services. And then this cool wish list feature, which helps the community to basically collectively influence our roadmap. And we've always talked about customer obsession and how we love feedback, but the wish list is a very concrete realization of that. When customers say, I sure wish the XYZ service could also do this particularly cool thing, go ahead and put that in on the wish list. You might want to lobby your colleagues and friends and fans to help get that pushed up. And the service teams are going to watch and then try to understand and perhaps factor those wishes and suggestions into their plans.
Yeah, I think that's pretty great. Being a solutions architect, I'm often doing that internally for my customers with product feature requests. And I think that my customers are going to love that, being able to, put in a wish for themselves on the wish list and get to see for themselves, how many upvotes it has. And I really like that. Very customer obsessed.
The other thing I love about the Builder Center is there's so much content being generated. There's so many different ways to do things. There's so many different services and service features. It can be overwhelming at times to kind of know what to do, what tool to use, how to do it. And the Builder Center is a great place to kind of just really get the mind and walk through and code samples and learn. I'm a self-taught developer. I did not go to school for this, but just started Googling and it was things like the Builder Center and these forums and these experts who are willing to share their information and their knowledge that allowed me to kind of get to where I am today. So I highly encourage people to check out the Builder Center. I know I'm publishing stuff there, and I'd love to hear what people wish for.
I'm actually thinking I will start writing that. I don't want to think of them as blog posts, but I still end up with a lot of interesting things to share. Things I just pick up all around across social media, and I'm sometimes I end up with a backlog of things to share. So I might actually start publishing a couple links a day as little daily posts. So you actually you need to create a builder ID and set up your alias so you can get to the Builder Center, but those are free. You can there's my QR code for my identity, like my alias. And if you'd like, you can actually follow me there. I have nothing. I have no followers and I have no content, but you can be among the first. Just sign up.
Follow him anyways.
And
I'm gonna grab this right now.
Cool.
I'm sure I can get it outside of this, but
I'll bet you can find me somewhere. But
it's not like we work together or anything.
Yeah. And so here's the Builder Center right there as well. Cool stuff there. Okay, let's see. One more cool thing. What can I do really quickly here? Okay, so the EC2 P6E GB200 Ultra servers, these kind of break my brain. So an Ultra server is basically a box full of instances. So inside of these Ultra servers are multiple GPU accelerated EC2 instances. And the GPUs are actually connected with a high bandwidth, low latency interconnect between the accelerators. So when you're doing gigantic GPU things, you can share data across the GPUs in the different instances. So the numbers here kind of break my brain. So each Ultra server has 72 NVIDIA Blackwell GPUs, 360 petaflops of FP8 compute, and then within just the GPUs, there's 13.4 terabytes of high bandwidth memory. Just like there's just crazy. Wow. So that's all the GPU power. But on the compute side, there's 2,592 vCPUs, another 17 terabytes of main memory, and then just 405 gigabytes of instant storage. So that's an individual Ultra server. But there's more. There's a lot more. If you need more, you can create the next scale out is called an Ultra cluster. So an Ultra cluster is a bunch of Ultra servers, and you can scale Ultra clusters up to have tens of thousands of GPUs. So
Jeff,
this is
what
the
kind
world's
of things
largest
might a
watermelon,
customer
as Stephen just said.
what
This
kind of
is
things might a customer
insane
be
amount of power, just an absolute insane amount of power for this. So compute and memory intensive AI and training inference workloads, trillion parameter level of models here. These are not things you just kind of casually launch. You actually need to create a capacity block, and you need to basically make a reservation for some particular time. And all of these are actually they're kind of physically, I guess physically is the right way to say it, in the Dallas local zone, which it turns out is a child of the U.S. East region. So there's a little bit of interesting complexity there to find them and get to use them. But if you need tens of thousands of GPUs, then the P6E GB200 Ultra servers and Ultra clusters are the way to go.
Wow.
I don't know how to fit my brain around those numbers anymore. I really don't.
Yeah, that was a lot of cool words.
It's like these numbers are so big that you can accidentally be off by a factor of 1,000 either way, like gigas or exas or petas. And any one of them actually sounds kind of reasonable. It's like sometimes with real world numbers, right? If you say, well, I grew a sunflower like 100 feet tall, they're like, nah, you couldn't do that. But you can grow a 10-foot sunflower. Mm-hmm. But these terabytes and petabytes, and at some point we'll be talking exabytes, are like, they're so big that you can't map them to reality in any just like way, shape, or form. So I triple check the numbers and the scales to make sure that I'm not misleading you. And like the giga and the tera could equivalently be just as real, it turns out.
Yeah. Wow, that is very hard to wrap my head around, but fantastic and great to learn about. And, you know, Jeff, as if you aren't traveling to enough places around the world, we also have a summit coming up next week. Will you be in New York for the New York Summit?
I actually won't. So I do prefer the community days. The community days are kind of my thing, and I don't have any over the summer. The next one I have coming up is in Sarajevo at the very beginning of September. I think that's AWS Community Day Adria is the one for that area. I'm doing that. I've got a quick stop in Geneva, and I want to stay home for the rest of September because we have grandbaby number 8 coming sometime in September. So
wow, congrats.
For them to show up. Yeah.
I know that. I know I'm expecting any day now, actually, Jeff.
Are you?
Congratulations.
I'm not. My wife is. I mean, I'm expecting the other to do something about it, but yeah. So I all that to say is I am excited for you because
Thanks.
I'm feeling that anticipation right now.
Oh, absolutely. So much fun. So much fun. Never gets old. Like every time you see a brand new grandbaby, you're like, okay, we need to go with you through all the steps and stages, and like, okay, now here we get to do that all again. So always fun and always special.
That's really exciting. We have a congratulations for you in the chat from Melhino.
Oh,
Says
thanks.
congrats on grandbaby coming
Thank
in
you so
September.
Number 8. Jeff, I'm really inspired by what you just did, and while you were giving us the update, boom, I'm bringing my Builder ID on.
Wow!
Well, follow me on the Builder Center too, and
Dang it! I wish I was doing that.
With OBS.
Yeah, OBS is cool. The studio mode, you got to get it ready to roll.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, OBS was one of those pandemic things I learned about, and there's so many cool things you can do with it. Like it's one of those neat universal tools that no matter what you do with it, there's always something 10 times cooler that someone else can do. Like when I'm in my other location, I do my 3D mapping on my window and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. I've learned a lot from you. I've been following after you. I'm like, man, Jeff is doing all these cool things. I need to start to really explore the controls and the creativity.
Oh, fantastic. Well, we have a comment here saying they're loving AWS on air. Cool to be on air and bringing in the awesome guests. Thank you so much for that fantastic note. Jeff, thank you for being here as always and being one and only, and for your advice and news.
Awesome. Have a great weekend, everyone. And I'll stand by for the next segment.
Until next time.
Cool. Safe travels, Jeff.
Oh, he's gone.
He's gone. He's still there, though. He's not like gone. He's just not on the screen anymore. The magic of television, brought to you by our producer Nick, who's trying to figure out how the buttons work in the background on the new StreamYard UI.
Absolutely. And so Todd, we have more content today. There's more that we are giving the audience.
The hits keep coming.
What
are we doing, Fiona?
We have someone saying always good news. Jeff, Todd speaks the truth there. That's true. But up next, you all have questions that you submit to AWS Repost, and those questions are about how to build on AWS, problems that you encounter and solutions that you want to find. And lucky you, we bring in the Repost team to answer those questions live and walk through them. So I think let's pass it on over to them so they can take over. How about that?
I like that. Repost, another one of those tools to help you learn that I love. Let's
learn and be curious.
Learn and be curious. Hashtag.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for the intro, Fiona and Todd. My name is Stephen Heverin. I'm a senior technical account manager coming to you from sunny Philadelphia, PA. Today, I've got a special guest with me, Chris.
Hi, yeah, I'm Chris. I'm usually the producer of AWS Repost Live, so a very rare in front of the camera appearance for me today.
Yeah, I managed to drag him out from behind the curtain and join me on today's segment. So you don't have to say, as they do in Oz, ignore the man behind the curtain. We've got him right here. Please don't throw any rotten tomatoes at him. Be gentle and kind. We are the host and producer of the regular weekly live stream, AWS Repost Live, where we dive deep into user-submitted questions, provide technical solutions for our Repost community. Head over to repost.aws, get signed up using your AWS account ID or your Builder ID. And if you're just joining the live stream today, take our survey. Let us look for the link in the chat. Let us know how we're doing. And a quick shout out to Jay, one of our other regular hosts on Repost Live that you've seen here recently. He and his wife recently had another baby, so he's taken some time off for some family time, part of why we got Chris here in front of the camera. So congratulations to them. So Chris, I'm going to let you kick it off with the first topic.
Yeah, for sure. All the new baby news today is actually really exciting that all kind of rolled together like that at the end. But yeah, so Repost Live, I've been singing the praises of Repost along with Stephen, Jay, and Anoop for a couple of years now. And we got a few things to point out. One of them that I'm really excited about, and I'm really glad that Jeff brought it up in this last segment, is Builder Center. Todd was showing that off as well. And we can bring my screen up because I have it shared here as well. brand new. It's like Jeff said, this is really quickly going to start filling up with content from all of us here at AWS. I'm going to be using this to be posting a lot of information about repost. So following suit with everybody else, if you would like to follow me, there's my QR code. You'll get all of the new updates about Repost Live over here, as well as other musings that happen to come to my mind. I will be sure to publish them here. But we are also here to talk about Repost Live and talk about some of the launches that happened today. One of those being this one that I'm really excited about, CloudWatch Investigations. And there's a very specific reason why I'm so excited to talk about this one, and it's contained right here in this article. You can see that it's pulling information from all sorts of resources, including AWS Repost articles. So right there, we're getting a shout out, and I'm glad that people are now starting to use this as a perfect resource, because it really is a perfect resource. It really is kind of a veggie tray. You got your broccoli, you got your carrots, you got your radishes, you got all sorts of things you can pull from in the form of community questions, from Knowledge Center articles. There are articles that are written just by standard users. I publish articles over here all the time. Selections, tags, community groups, and you can see more ... The ellipsis there just means that they're going to continue building over here. We're never going to run out of content over on Repost, so it's always worth checking out.
And let's talk a bit about that, the launch that Jared and Matt were talking about earlier with the CloudWatch investigations, right?
For sure.
So it, with that, I think we've got I think you got an article here that we want to bring up.
Oh, sure. I've got several things I want to bring up.
Let's start with the search, right? That's what we want to do. Start with the search, right? Hey, and if in chat, let us know if you've got any questions about what you've seen on the previous segments, what we're talking about now. Hey, what questions do you have? Let us know in chat. And let us know how your garden grows, or what you would like to monitor in your garden. What kind of vegetables do you like? I don't have any carrots in mine because I'm allergic to carrots. So, but I have plenty of other vegetables and stuff in my garden that I want to see grow and keep an eye on. So as Chris has shown us here, right? CloudWatch investigations. Let's just say this is new. You're just hearing about this for the first time today, and you can head over to Repost. And what's really, really cool here is I like that if you type in something like this, it gives you this nice summary of, hey, what is that about? What is that thing about that I'm looking for? It gives you links to sources over on the side there. And so we can dive into that, right? And start to understand a little bit more. And maybe it's like, okay, I need to ask this question, or I want to be able to go here and get my answer. But back to what you're talking about here, Chris, I think let's switch over to my screen here.
Oh, sure. Well, one of the things I wanted to touch on there is that Repost, like an onion, has so many layers to it that you can see the Gen AI that's set up there, the all content, the questions, and of course the Knowledge Center articles, which is something that's always worth highlighting here on these page. The Knowledge Center articles, such a deep knowledge base, and it's great that to know that CloudWatch Investigations is pulling from that well.
Well, yeah. Denali, yes, well, you're farming resources here, right? That's what you're doing, is farming resources in the cloud, in your cloud garden. I don't know. I'm really kind of destroying that analogy.
We're sowing seeds of knowledge, and now it's just
we
time to
are.
harvest. Yeah.
Nice. Yes, I like that. Way to bring that back. So we had this question here. I think one of the examples, and this is what Joe touched on, or sorry, Jared and Matt touched on earlier with the CloudWatch investigations, right? You've got this, hey, I want to be able to trace and understand some of my agentic applications in Bedrock and things like that. And, maybe you've got new applications you're standing up and you don't know necessarily how to instrument them, or how, what the monitoring and things like that should be, but you still need to troubleshoot them. And so with this, what you can do is you go into CloudWatch, right? And you can select a number of resources, right? I think I've got some stuff set up here. Like, let's say you want to grab something. I've got a number of logs that I've grabbed here for an application that I've deployed. And so I'm going to start doing the log insights. I'm going to query for this kind of stuff, which is, where you want to start, right? What broke in my system? I don't necessarily know from an operations perspective always about what might have changed. So I can come in here, I can start my investigation, I can start looking at, say, just log groups, right? And what's really great is I can say, come down here, summarize the results, right? And then I can kick off that investigation, and it's going to start doing that investigation off those logs, off that information. And then, so I'm using all of these tools so that I'm right here, I'm able to investigate and be able to quickly get there. Because that's half the time, like, oh, what broke? Oh, well, I got to go investigate this log, or I got to go find this, or I got to do that. Well, what information? Right now, we're bringing that information from repost, from our documentation, and from all those other resources, which I think is absolutely fantastic. And really, you know, and again, I think as we had said before, it was, you know, there for nothing, right? Where you're just, we're giving you this functionality right here. And I always like that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
anything that's going to improve your workloads and you don't have to lift a finger. I mean, who can argue against that? I do know that we're, in terms of the amount of time that we have left, I know we have other stuff to get to. So to avoid word salad, let us walk you through Oracle.
Nice. All right. The other piece, yes, talking about Oracle with what Joe had covered here, and this is another exciting one. Let me find it. Yeah, here we go. So, you know, he talked about getting set up and showed how easy it was to deploy into AWS now with that architecture and that structure, having your Oracle rack, having your Oracle Exadata instances there in AWS, and being able to start integrating. Well, you also still need to be able to connect to them from on-premise. And so we had this great article published not that long ago from one of our networking experts, Tom. And so he put this, and this is one of the things that I really like about repos, right? Is that it makes it really easy to understand, you know, how much I need to water something, how much I need to provide sun, what kind of nutrients, in a way that's easy for me to understand. And I don't need to know all this complicated gardening knowledge and lingo. So what he's done here is he's outlined the architecture. Originally, it was, you could do this on Cloud WAN. We've got a lot of you know, enterprises using Cloud WAN to kind of connect their data centers, their branch offices into the, you know, with their cloud resources, make that easier to manage. And so you could do this now with Oracle at AWS. And originally it was, you needed to put in a transit gateway. Well, we've already updated the article and indicated we've already addressed that, and now provide that feature where you can just take that ODB that you've deployed and peer it directly to your Cloud WAN with your VPC peering, and attach it to the Cloud WAN network. You don't need to go through necessarily some of the more complicated stuff in attaching it with Cloud WAN and using a transit gateway and stuff like that. So, but again, what I really like here is they're breaking it down and doing all this really kind of great stuff to make it easy for people like me to understand how to start working with this and bring it up. So with that, I think we are getting close to time. But again, I think here's another one like Cloud WAN, right? This is one, if you haven't looked at it in a while, you can take a look at it. We've done a lot for that to make that networking easier and to kind of grow into that. So if you've got your networking, it's getting more complex, right? Getting harder to manage. Take again a look at Cloud WAN. Come over here, check out some of the information and how to get started with that.
And that's a great way that you can utilize reposts, and that, you know, the experts are here providing all of this good information for you. It's a real farm to table sort of setup for you to get this information in your hands and get better prepared and you know, better involved in working in the cloud. I know that we're sort of running out of time for today, so that doesn't mean that repost goes away. The conversation continues over there. So again, if you haven't, please use your builder ID, sign up over on repost, and start contributing. Just start clicking around. Like I said, there's no shortage of information that's just going to make you better at using the cloud, and it's just readily available at your fingertips.
And let's see if we can bring somebody back to dig us out of this hole. You know, if Fiona and Todd would like to come back and join us here to close things out.
Hey Chris, I love the little poster behind you. I'm a frolic-aholic.
Oh yes.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, for any Severance fans out there.
Yeah, presumably you have a cat.
Yes, 3.
That's the I see the little cat thing.
Yeah, that's their little throne. They didn't make an
No-
appearance today.
No appearance today, right?
Maybe next time.
Maybe next time. So what about next week? Who here is going to be at New York Summit?
I'm going to be at New York Summit.
Yay! Well, we hope that someone who is here watching, we hope that some of you are also going to be at New York Summit. If you are going to be at the summit, come find us at the Expo Hall. We will be at the AWS On Air booth, and absolutely excited to be there and waiting for you to come by and say hello. So please
Come
do.
by and say hello. And the Repost team, we've got stickers for you.
Oh,
so definitely come by.
And if
say
you
hi.
aren't there in person, Todd, we will be streaming, won't we?
Yes, that's right. We'll be bringing new content, new launches. I heard there's some really exciting ones for New York Summit, so I'm pretty pumped to hear what's going to be new.
Absolutely, yeah. I can't wait to hear it. I'm excited to be there, and there's going to be a lot of people there and a lot of exciting news.
Oh, yeah. It's New York City, greatest city in the world.
Absolutely. City that never sleeps. Well, thank you all so much for joining in and tuning in. We hope that you learned something new today. We hope you enjoyed the show. Have I missed anything else, y'all? Is there anything else we want to say before we go?
Nobody made a reference to New York being the Big Apple, and we've been talking about produce all day. I couldn't leave it unsaid.
Hey, I would say follow us on the new Builder Center. We got the codes up. Everybody brought up their. Fiona, do you have a code yet?
I know I should have done it, but no, I don't have mine.
We're gonna make.
I don't have a code yet. Well, we'll have one for next week.
Cool.
Shaving the apples are not vegetables.
Save the carrot. Chris is on fire today. We need to we cut this off before he wins too much.
Fair enough. All right, everybody. We'll see you in New York. I'm gonna switch to this.
Ooh, the backwards cam. Bye, y'all.
Oh, you like that?